Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. So typically, as always, on a Friday we got a brand new set of weekly challenges to Gran Turismo 7. However, this time bundled in was a very special event. This was a 1 hour endurance race taking place at Mount Panorama or Bathurst. This was finally the first endurance race added to GT7 in around about 2.5 years, and it seemed that finally Polyphony were answering. Now, of course, hopefully this special event begins to rotate in and out, a little bit like we've seen with the JGTC, Group C and DTM special events, and on a regular basis we'll then go ahead and get a new endurance 1 hour event every few weeks or so. Now, of course, ever since GT7 launched, one of the things that players have been asking for is endurance events. They were entirely absent upon the game's launch, and whilst we have had some longer events added over time, it's been a very long time since we've had any others. Now, in terms of endurance events, they aren't necessarily up to the original standard of 4, 8, 12 or 24 hours, but 1 hour is still enough to get a good strategy in, rain, and of course the day-night cycle. So it does typically work well, and I do think this suits most players. So far it's all looking good as we end 2024 on a high. However, there is a key issue with this 1 hour endurance event in that it actually re-highlights Gran Turismo 7's biggest issue. Of course, I am talking about race payouts and the economy as a whole. Now, to give you a bit of context when it comes to Gran Turismo 7, this has been one of the major issues a lot of players have had with the game, is that the economy is just all over the place and not catered towards the player whatsoever. Going back to Gran Turismo 7's launch, the economy was very much tailored around selling off microtransactions, and in fact the first update to the game made this even worse, to the point where Polyphony had to backtrack on this. Now, after this, it did seem like Polyphony went ahead and kind of patched it up a bit, adding 4 brand new endurance events to the game. Now, in terms of those events, they are very replayable. We also got a bunch of 1 hour endurance events, which were one-time payout mission challenges, so it did seem all good. However, they have been entirely absent for around about 2.5 years up until this point. So again, a lot of people were hyped when we finally saw a new 1 hour endurance event. So now it's time to highlight the key issue. It comes across as a special event as part of the WTC 800, where the majority of the longer, more well-paying events in the game go. However, if we open up the event itself, you can see something becomes quite wrong quite quickly. Typical 60-minute, 20-car grid, fuel consumption and tyre rates there, PP limits there. However, get to the rewards and you will notice for first, after 1 hour of racing, you will be awarded 140,000 credits. Now, of course, there is the chance of a 50%, taking it up to around about 210k for an hour. Let's compare this to our permanent fixture in the game in the WTC 800 60-minute Spa event. Typically this is harder with weather, so you would expect a bit better payout. However, it is a massive difference. 1 million credits standard, a maximum of 1.5 mil with clean race bonus. That is a huge difference. Now, even if you combine the clean race bonus with, of course, the completion ticket, so completing all 5 events, that would still be only just the same amount as the Spa 1 hour. It is ridiculous, and they are only a one-time bonus, and that's going to lead to another issue, which is replayability. A huge problem when it comes to GT7 is the replayability of events. We either end up playing them too much, like the 4 typical grinding events, and then when we get something new, the payout is too low that there's no reason for players to go back and they get bored very quickly. Or, like in the case of this special event, it is set up in a way that you only really want to tackle it once. Now, the key issue here is the fact this special event is only in the game for a week, and of course with it being the holiday period and people having free time, this would have been the perfect way to get players replaying this event and spending a bunch of time with the event. And in fact, players could have gone on to go and beat it in multiple different ways. That is what's so good about these longer endurance events, is trying out new cars and new strategies to make it seem fresh and worthwhile every single time. But take the incentive of a decent payout away, and there's no reason for players to do that. Now of course this isn't a new issue to GT7. If we look into other similar WTC 800 events, we have the Sardinia Road Track A, which is a kind of verified grinding event. This will pay you about 725k every 24 minutes or so, give or take, and an event that is very close to that is the 20 lap at Hyde Speed Ring. Takes about the same amount of time, does have rain, but the maximum you can get here is 240k. So there's a key reason I'm highlighting those two events as well. That is because, of course, one, the Sardinia event is very grindable, pays out handsomely, and makes sense for the amount of time you put in. Now again, this was part of the typical grinding events, however, players can get burnt out on that very quickly. And of course, the High Speed Ring event, well, that is probably the better of the two. It has, you know, dry and wet weather, day-night cycle. It's really an enjoyable event, and it would have made for the perfect addition alongside the likes of Sardinia. Unfortunately though, it takes an absolute battering when it comes to its replayability because the payout is so low and there's no incentive for players to go back and go and grind that event. So it does seem like a bit of a pattern's emerging. Polyphony went ahead and added those 4 events as an apology early in the game's life cycle, and even when they get fantastic events added into the game that could be on par with them and paying out similar, they just don't. So I wanted to test just how butchered Polyphony's event payouts really are, so I went in to make a custom race with my 400% bonus over at Mount Panorama in the exact same way the 1 hour endurance was created. So I set the race type to endurance, set the time limit to 60 minutes, 20 cars on grid, set myself to the back of the grid on a rolling start, kept the BOP off just like it is for the event, added things such as real slipstream strength, of course added 3 times tyre wear, light mechanical damage and 3 times fuel usage. Now of course some of these options don't really matter, but I wanted it as close to the event as possible, so things like the time of day, I started it at dawn, which seems to be the time that it starts in GT7, set a bit of a speed rate for how quick it goes through the time and stuff like that. Now when it comes to the rival selection, I put it in the same car category, so group 3, set them to the highest difficulty, and as you can see, the payout was sat at 493,000 credits over that 1 hour period. Now of course this is still very much under what we'd see at Spa, so the maximum I can earn here is about 700k, kind of give or take, and at Spa it's 1.5 million with a clean race bonus, so it's still under that, but still a lot more than Polyphony were paying out for their exact same 1 hour. So of course I just wanted to make this video to really highlight the key issue with Gran Turismo 7, that Polyphony still have this issue with completely butchering their own race payouts to a nonsensical level. For some reason they are absolutely adamant to be against the player rather than working with them and keeping players returning to their events and doing different things with it each and every single time. Replayability in GT7 is a key issue, and for 1 week only this could have been a fantastic opportunity for them to get players really digging into this event, trying out different cars and trying out different strategies. And of course if it was to make a return, this could have been on a, you know, kind of monthly basis to go quite nicely with custom race glitch grinds and of course the 4 key grinding events. But unfortunately Polyphony did their typical thing of taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and I would say this time around it's probably more insulting than ever. 1 million credits in comparison to 140k is absolutely ridiculous, and whilst this week's special event is fantastic that we finally got a new 1 hour endurance, unfortunately Polyphony still managed to find a way to ruin it and make it really only worthy of 1 single run. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And let me know why. Anyway, massive thank you to you guys for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Take care guys. Peace.